Back, back again. Hold up, let me get more of these clementines. We back again, boys. Mm, Okay, I fell on the floor. Let's pop in. Yes, we are back again with another video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in as usual. Um, this is the same day I recorded the earlier video that you watched. I'm just doing a little bit of record, so I have some content ready and lined up. I always just speak kind of like from my heart, and I always just speak off of my own personal knowledge, right? And I think that's the best, and that's the way I'd like to keep things, even though sometimes I'm not really linear in my approach. Sometimes I kind of go around in circles, but I get there eventually. Um, Today we're going to be talking about exit strategy, planning your exit strategy to move out of your parents' house, your parents' basement, right? Now you might be saying, why would I even want to move out of my parents' house when I can live there for free, rent free, don't gotta pay for no groceries. I can just eat whatever the fuck I want when I wake up, when I feel like, blah blah blah. And I'm so surprised that parents nowadays actually let their kids live with them for free. I guess it happens less, but like at least like take up the responsibility of paying like one or two bills, right? I think that happens minimal, right? Minimum, right? But first things first is why. Why should you move out of your parents' house? Or why should you like what's wrong with living with your parents forever? Well, living with them forever is different from living them with them when you're in your early 20s. So let me not say forever. But what's wrong with living with them in your early 20s? The answer is nothing. Nothing wrong with living with your parents in your early 20s, but you should prepare to start moving out before you hit your mid 20s to late 30 to early 30s, right? Nothing's wrong with living with your parents early on, saving up money, doing whatever. In fact, it's probably the more smarter choice because your parents are still around to give you some final guidance, especially if you still live with if your dad is, if your father is still in the picture. It's great because your dad is now able to be more of a guiding figure in your life. Whereas for the most part of your life, when you grew up as a little kid, like it was mostly your mom. Mostly moms do a lot of the heavy lifting earlier into like like growing up, becoming a teen, puberty, all of this stuff. But once you pass that 18-year-old mark and you get into like legal territory, like the law and like being of age, like that's where your dad needs to step in. And that's where you realize like your dad has so much to teach you, but you have to get older first to learn all those things, right? So it's great when you're between like your ages of 18 to like 23 or whatever, and you're living with your parents, but you still need to plan an exit strategy, right? And the exit strategy, the reason why you have to move out is is because you need to have structure of your own life and you need to have control of your own life. If you don't, then others will control your life for you, right? If you don't move out by the time you hit a certain age, I don't give you a specific number, but you will naturally feel it in yourself like, damn, I'm still living with my parents. Like when you get that feeling, if you don't move out by the time that feeling comes around, then you're going to be, excuse me, then you're going to be subject to the decisions that other people make. For example, the decisions your parents make. If you take too long to move out, right, then your parents' decision will start to affect you. It's no longer your decisions affect your parents, it's your parents' decisions affect you because you've become a grown up, right? So naturally there are going to be things in your life that you want to do that doesn't include your parents anymore, and that's just a part of being a grown up, right? And that's going to be hard for you to do when you live with your parents. Like having relationships is going to be hard for you to do. Like having French like relationships between like dating, friendships, venturing forth into the world. Excuse me. Venturing forth into the world, discovering new things, having adventures, like pursuing your careers, pursuing your dreams and your goals and your hobbies. All of that's going to be harder to do the older you get when you live with your parents. Why? Because you're not going to have the structure in your life to keep it like to enforce it. Like, don't, granted, people do, obviously, like people do live with their parents and have a career and have hobbies and have friends and all of that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at it, oh, that sneeze really kind of made me feel all over my body. What I'm getting at is, if you continue to live with your parents for any specific amount of time, for like a indefinite amount of time, if you live with your parents for an indefinite amount of time, those things start to have an effect on your relationships, on your hobbies, on everything, even your mental state, of course. And your parents will always be there for you as a helping hand, but at the end of the day, you're the only one who can push yourself into the position that you need to be in. The reason why you need to live by yourself eventually, right? Before that subconscious mindset starts to kick in and be like, damn, I'm still living with my parents at this age, is so that you can gain the responsibilities that you need to have as a man or a woman, and you can venture forth into the world, the cold, hard world, right? The cold, hard world that your parents been talking about since you've been born, pretty much, right? You have to venture forth into that world, because that world is what will make you stronger as an adult and make you stronger as a person and make you not coddled or not like baby, pretty much. You have to venture forth into that world, and you have to explore it by yourself at first, right? But you have to explore it by yourself at first. That way, you can have your own ways of doing things without having anybody to kind of influence you or give you a guide or tell you how it should be done. So you can make your own mistakes. And when you make your own mistakes, you can learn from your own mistakes and you can not make them again, and you can become better. These are all things that you will get better at naturally as you grow up. And then eventually you'll have kids, and it'll be your time to teach them those things as a father, and as a mother, you'll have other responsibilities. Maybe you'll have the same responsibilities. Who knows? Right? But it's imperative that you plan your exit strategy to leave your parents' house before that specific time comes, the time where you feel like you've been here too long. Because as soon as you have that feeling that you've been at your parents too long, it's already too late. Because if you feel today that you've been living with your parents for too long, you can't just move out tomorrow. That's too spontaneous. You need to have an exit strategy planned, right? So let's look over this so-called exit strategy. How can you move out of your parents' house before that feeling comes on, or before that feeling kicks in? The first question you should ask yourself is, when when do you think is when do you think you want to move out, or when do you think is at what point in your life, what age in your life do you feel you'll be overstaying at your parents' house, right? Is it at 21? Is it at 22? Is it at 23? Is it at 24? Is it at 25? Definitely, if you're 25, that's overstaying, unless you have like some really good reason or like some disability or something. But if you're a perfectly healthy working young man, something, or another, whatever, and you're 25, still living with your parents, no savings, no plan, no nothing, then you're overstaying. It's different if you have savings and you have plans and all of this, because then you're making one big move. So you have to, right? But like, yeah, anyways, pick the age that you want to move out by, right? The next thing to do is to take on some responsibilities and start paying one or two bills in the house, right? Responsibilities are very important, not only because when you go out into the world, do you have responsibilities? Are you going to have your rent? You're going to have your car insurance. You're going to have this, that, that. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities when you go out into the world, right? But these responsibilities that you take on your parent, like from your parents, or you volunteer to do, right, are also going to give you that push and make you feel like, damn, I'm paying rent here. I might as well go and get my own crib and pay rent. Or I'm paying like electricity or water here. I might as well go get my own crib, pay that, and pay some rent, and then have my own freedom, right? So you want to take on these responsibilities. If you opt to not take on responsibilities that your parents are already taking on, well, one, you're becoming like a burden to them, where they're financing your life and paying for the roof over your head and your expenditures and feeding you, and you're making money and you're keeping all of it. Uh, that's like, nah, it's like, nah, bro. So try to take over one or two bills from your parents so that you can relieve the stress from them, right? So that when you leave, It won't be like, oh, thank God he's finally out of here. Less bills. What? Even though parents don't really think like that, but so that when you leave, like there's more. Oh, you used to pay this, that, that. Whatever. Parents don't think like that necessarily. Not all good parents think like that, or no good parent thinks like that. So forget up that part. But for real, like take some responsibilities on and face them head on, right? So once you have the age that you want to move out by and you're taking on responsibilities, next should be obvious is you want to start saving as much as you possibly can, right? You've heard this a million times, but you're going to hear it again. You want to have saved up between from anywhere between 3 months to 6 months of bare necessities, which is going to include your rent, your car, no, everything that you need to live basically unbearable, like skeleton living, like the bare minimum. Don't include your hair, like how much it costs to get a haircut or whatever, because you can live without a haircut for a few months, unless your job really requires you to be well groomed, of course. But yeah, acquire those savings for bare minimum, right? Even if you can't fully save up by the time you want to be moved, at least having some savings is a good start, right? Next, you want to look where you're going to be moving. What's the plan? Where would you like to live, right? Because now you're a young adult, you get to choose these things. There's a lot that opens up to you. So you have to realize that there's a lot of freedom that's coming to your life, right? And you're the one who's going to have to now choose where you want to do what you want to do. And you're not like held down anymore. It's honestly very, very, very relieving, and it's very euphoric, and it's a great feeling to live by yourself. It really is. But you have to be prepared for it because there's a lot of responsibilities. It's like a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword. When you live by yourself, it's amazing. It's amazing that no one can tell you what to do, when to do. You can come home when you want, you can do whatever you feel like, right? And you pay the bills. So you feel really, really accomplished, right? And your parents are very proud of you as well. Most, like, pretty much always. Once they know their kids can go out and live on their own and survive, like, it's really a big sign of pride for your parents. And parents do brag about that kind of stuff, even if they don't seem like they do, right? So you want to have your exit strategy ready, right? And it's those points that I just pointed out, right? You want to have the age in mind that you want to move out by, right? Have that age in mind because the age is very, very important, right? It sets that mental precedent for you, right? Take on some responsibilities in the house, not only paying bills, but help do things around the house, right? Your parents probably already tell you to do this, but like you really have to do something, right? That way you can really feel like this is going to be the hardest thing to do as well, right? But if you can at least pay a few bills, then that shouldn't be that bad. Worst case, when you have your own place and you have to do shit around your own place, that'll just smack you in the face, like unexpectedly, but you can still handle that. But not expecting the bills and not preparing for the bills, that's the quickest way to move back to your parents' house, right? And that's a shame. When you move out and then you have to move back in, that's unless there's like a really, really extenuating circumstances, that's just a shame. It's horrible. Even your parents don't like that, right? So responsibilities, have your age set in mind, have some savings ready, right? And then lastly, have the move planned. Speak with your parents about this. Let them know what you're thinking because this is where your thoughts and your ideas actually manifest into something tangible and into you actually moving out. Right. And I'm sure when you talk to your parents, they're going to be super glad and they're going to do their most to help you and offset a lot of costs so you don't really, so your first move out is very smooth. After that, throughout the rest of your 20s or whatever, how old you become or whatever, when you move out after that, it's pretty much going to be on your own and that shit's not going to be easy. Maybe you'll have to pay a moving truck. Maybe you'll have to pay movers. Movers cost anywhere from $500 to $1,000, sometimes $2,000, depending on how much stuff you have, right? If you have just a bare minimum, maybe you'll get away with 5 bills, right? So it's really good to have your first move um, when your parents help you, right? And try to find somewhere that you can stay for a long time or until you see fit to move again, right? If you want to move close to your parents, great. If you want to move away from your parents, great. Doesn't really matter. but moving out is super important. And you need to have your exit strategy planned before you wake up one day and you're like, oh shit, I'm still living with my parents. Or before you see an internet meme that's like, oh shit, you're still living with your parents. And it makes you feel some type of way. Anyways, you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see more of this, and let the algorithm know you want to see more of this by like, commenting, and subscribing. Yeah, that's it. I said all I had to say. Peace out.